In January 1945, the ground across occupied France had frozen solid. Snow-blanketed fields that hadn't produced a real harvest in months. German occupation forces had seized most livestock and grain. The French population faced genuine starvation. But in kitchen gardens scattered from Lyon to Grenoble, families were digging through ice-crusted soil to pull up fresh vegetables. Green, edible plants that had survived temperatures plunging well below zero, not preserved food, not dried rations. Fresh produce still alive after months of brutal winter, the variety was called Bleu de Soleil. A leek developed in the French highlands that could withstand conditions no commercial vegetable survives today. After liberation, this plant helped save countless families from winter malnutrition. Then within 2 decades, industrial agriculture abandoned it entirely. What made this leek nearly indestructible, and why did we stop growing the one vegetable that refuses to die? Number 1. The plant that survives everything. Bleu de Soleil originated in the village of Soleil in the Rhône-Alpes region of southeastern France. The exact date remains uncertain, but seed catalogs from the late 1800s already listed it as an established heirloom variety. French highland farmers had been selecting and saving seeds for generations, choosing only plants that survived the harshest winters. The result was a leek unlike anything grown commercially today. Standard grocery store leeks suffer permanent damage when temperatures drop below 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Most varieties collapse entirely in a hard freeze. Bleu de Soleil thrives when temperatures plunge to -20 or even -30 degrees. The plant itself looks distinctive. Leaves develop a striking blue-purple coloration as cold weather intensifies. The color comes from anthocyanins, the same compounds that turn blueberries blue and red cabbage purple. In this leek, anthocyanin production serves a specific purpose beyond appearance. Physical structure differs from modern varieties too. Bleu de Soleil grows thick, sturdy leaves arranged in a fan pattern. Stalks develop shorter and denser than commercial leeks, sacrificing some visual appeal for durability. Root systems extend deeper than standard varieties, anchoring the plant against frost heaving while accessing nutrients and moisture in frozen ground. French farmers developed a cultivation method matching the plant's nature. Seeds went into the ground during late spring. Plants grew slowly through summer, building root mass rather than leaf volume. As autumn arrived and temperatures dropped, the leeks actually improved. Starches converted to sugars, flavors intensified, texture softened. Number 2. When food became survival, German occupation of France began in June 1940 and lasted until liberation in 1944. During those 4 years, the French civilian population faced systematic food extraction. Occupation authorities requisitioned grain, seized livestock, and diverted agricultural output toward feeding German forces. The official French ration during occupation averaged around 1,200 calories per day. In harsh winters, actual food availability often dropped far below even that inadequate level. Urban populations suffered most acutely. Cities like Paris experienced genuine hunger. But rural communities faced their own challenges. Farms operated under strict quotas. Hiding food production became dangerous, sometimes fatal. Kitchen gardens offered one avenue of quiet resistance. Occupation authorities focused enforcement on commercial agriculture. Small backyard plots attracted less attention, and certain crops proved particularly valuable for their ability to produce food when surveillance concentrated elsewhere. Bleu de Soleil excelled in this role. The leek's winter hardiness meant harvesting occurred when gardens appeared dormant. No visible growing activity drew attention. No stockpiled produce required concealment. The food simply existed in the ground, invisible until needed. Nutrition mattered beyond mere caloric survival. Occupation diets tended toward starchy staples that could be stockpiled. Fresh vegetables containing vitamin C and K became rare. Winter scurvy, once considered a historical curiosity, made isolated reappearances. Children suffered developmental issues from micronutrient deficiency. Pregnant women faced elevated complications. A single serving of Bleu de Soleil provided meaningful amounts of vitamin K for blood clotting, vitamin C for immune function, vitamin A for vision and tissue health, and folate for cellular development. These weren't luxury nutrients, they were the difference between surviving occupation and suffering permanent health consequences. Number 3. The science of surviving frozen ground. Cold tolerance in plants depends on multiple biological systems working together. Most vegetables fail not because tissue freezes, but because ice crystals form inside cells and rupture delicate membranes. Bleu de Soleil developed adaptations preventing this destruction. The first mechanism involves controlled dehydration. As temperatures drop, the leek actively moves water out of cellular compartments. Less water means fewer ice crystals. The process begins before hard freezing occurs, giving tissues time to adjust rather than suffering sudden crystallization. Second, the plant produces natural antifreeze compounds. These specialized proteins and sugars lower the freezing point of remaining cellular fluids. The effect resembles adding salt to ice, but operates through complex biochemical pathways. Exact compound concentrations vary with growing conditions, but the protective effect has been documented across harsh continental winters. Third, cell membrane composition shifts in response to cold exposure. Standard plants maintain rigid membrane structures that crack under freezing stress. Cold-adapted varieties like Bleu de Soleil produce more flexible membranes containing higher proportions of unsaturated fatty acids. These membranes bend rather than break when ice forms in surrounding spaces. Anthocyanin production, responsible for the distinctive blue-purple coloring, provides additional protection. These compounds function as antioxidants, neutralizing damaging molecules produced when metabolism disrupts under cold stress. The deepening color as winter progresses indicates active protective chemistry. Cold exposure also triggers flavor transformation. Starches stored in leaf tissue convert to simple sugars as temperatures drop. The chemical change serves a protective function, since sugar solutions freeze at lower temperatures than starch suspensions. But the secondary effect benefits anyone eating the leek. Frost-kissed Bleu de Soleil tastes notably sweeter and more complex than specimens harvested before cold weather. Modern commercial leek varieties lost most of these adaptations during decades of selection for different traits. Industrial agriculture prioritized fast growth, uniform appearance, and high summer yields. Cold tolerance became irrelevant when the production model centered on shipping refrigerated produce rather than overwinter survival. The biological capabilities that made Bleu de Soleil exceptional simply weren't being selected for anymore. Number 4. Why industrial agriculture abandoned winter leeks? The transformation began in the 1950s and accelerated through the following decades. Post-war agriculture embraced intensive production methods designed to maximize yields and minimize labor. The priorities that had made Bleu de Soleil valuable became liabilities under the new model. Commercial leek production shifted toward hybrid varieties optimized for entirely different characteristics. Modern commercial leeks grow rapidly, reaching harvestable size in 4 months rather than the 8 or 9 months Bleu de Soleil requires. Faster turnover means more harvests per acre per year. Time efficiency became paramount. Uniformity ranked equally important. Industrial buyers want predictable product dimensions. Commercial leeks now grow to standardized diameter and length specifications, simplifying processing and packaging. Bleu de Soleil, shaped by survival rather than marketing requirements, produces variable dimensions that industrial buyers reject. Appearance changed too. Grocers discovered that consumers select vegetables based on visual appeal. Pure white stalks and bright green leaves signal freshness in retail settings. The blue-purple coloration that indicates cold adaptation in Bleu de Soleil looked unfamiliar, even unappetizing, to shoppers accustomed to standardized produce. Shipping tolerance mattered for commercial viability. Modern supply chains move vegetables thousands of miles from field to store shelf. Varieties bred for this system sacrifice flavor for structure, developing thicker cell walls that resist shipping damage but produce tougher, blander eating experiences. Perhaps most critically, the entire concept of winter harvesting became obsolete. Industrial agriculture solved winter produce scarcity by growing summer crops year-round in warm climates and shipping them globally. California, Florida, Mexico, and South America now supply vegetables to North American and European markets regardless of local season. A leek that survives -30 degrees offers no competitive advantage when produced trucks arrive daily from regions where freezing never occurs. Number 5. What we lost beyond the vegetable. Commercial abandonment of Bleu de Soleil represents more than losing access to one leek variety. The decision reveals broader costs of industrial agricultural transformation. Genetic diversity suffered measurably. Modern commercial agriculture relies on remarkably few plant varieties. The genetic base narrows each decade as farmers worldwide plant identical cultivars. When disease or pest pressure threatens a dominant variety, entire regional crops can fail simultaneously. Heritage varieties like Bleu de Soleil carry different genetic resistance patterns. Their absence leaves the overall agricultural system more vulnerable to catastrophic losses. Flavor complexity disappeared alongside the heirloom genetics. Taste tests consistently demonstrate that heritage vegetable varieties outperform modern commercial cultivars in blind evaluations. The sugar development that occurs during cold exposure in Bleu de Soleil creates flavor dimensions impossible to replicate in rapid-growth commercial varieties. Decades of optimizing for shipping tolerance, uniform sizing, and fast maturation selected against the chemistry that produces complex, satisfying flavors. Food system resilience degraded as local growing capability declined. Industrial supply chains work remarkably well under normal conditions. Trucks arrive, stores stock shelves, consumers buy. But this efficiency depends on functioning infrastructure. Fuel disruptions, transportation failures, or distribution center closures immediately threaten food availability. Winter hardy varieties enabled local production independent of supply chains. Their commercial abandonment eliminated that backup capacity. Self-sufficiency knowledge faded along with the varieties themselves. Farmers who once understood how to grow food through harsh winters without irrigation, heated greenhouses, or refrigerated storage retired without passing that knowledge to successors. Industrial agriculture demanded different skills entirely. The practical wisdom accumulated across generations of cold climate food production became culturally irrelevant. Climate adaptation options narrowed precisely when flexibility matters most. Weather patterns are becoming more extreme and less predictable. The same cold tolerance that allowed Bleu de Soleil to survive wartime winters offers resilience against unexpected temperature swings. Yet mainstream agriculture systematically eliminated the varieties most capable of withstanding environmental surprises. What disappeared wasn't just a leek, an entire approach to food security vanished alongside it. Number 6. Growing Bleu de Soleil today. Seeds remain available despite commercial abandonment. Heritage seed companies maintain Bleu de Soleil in their catalogs precisely because dedicated growers continue requesting it. Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, Coco Pelli in France, and the Seed Savers Exchange all offer authentic stock grown from preserved lineages. Starting seeds requires patience. Germination takes 2 to 3 weeks in cool soil. So indoors in late winter or early spring, setting seeds 1/4 inch deep in standard potting mix. Seedlings grow slowly during their first months, building root systems before putting energy into visible leaf growth. Transplant seedlings outdoors after the last hard spring frost, spacing plants 6 inches apart in rows 12 inches apart. Choose a location receiving full sun with well-drained soil. Bleu de Soleil tolerates various soil types, but performs best in fertile ground amended with compost. Summer care involves little more than consistent watering during dry spells. The plants will appear unremarkable during warm months. Growth seems sluggish compared to fast-maturing commercial varieties. This apparent slowness actually reflects root development that will prove essential come winter. Fall brings the transformation as nights cool, Leaves begin developing blue-purple coloration. Flavor intensifies. Plants that seemed modest during summer reveal their purpose. Leave them in place as temperatures drop. Unlike standard varieties requiring harvest before freezing, Bleu de Soleil improves with cold exposure. Winter harvesting works simply: clear snow from around plants, loosen soil with a digging fork, and pull individual leeks as needed. Remaining plants continue storing perfectly in frozen ground. No processing, canning, or refrigeration required. Just living vegetables available on demand throughout the coldest months. Save seeds by allowing a few plants to overwinter into their second year. Spring warmth triggers flowering. Tall stalks produce spherical seed heads containing dozens of black seeds. Allow heads to dry on the plant, then collect and store seeds in a cool, dark location. Properly dried seeds remain viable for 2 to 3 years, perpetuating the variety without commercial dependence. Number 7. Why this matters now. The current moment offers particular reasons for reconsidering abandoned food varieties. Supply chain vulnerabilities became impossible to ignore during recent disruptions. Grocery store shelves emptied within days when distribution systems faltered. The industrial model that replaced local food production proved more fragile than its efficiency suggested. Energy costs for food systems continue rising. The standard commercial leek travels an average of 1,500 miles from field to plate. Refrigerated trucks, climate-controlled warehouses, and heated retail displays consume significant energy at each stage. A vegetable that stores itself in frozen garden soil requires none of that infrastructure. Nutritional independence remains practically achievable for anyone with access to outdoor growing space. Bleu de Soleil doesn't require heated greenhouses, sophisticated irrigation, or advanced horticultural knowledge. The variety was selected specifically for performance under difficult conditions with minimal intervention. What French Highland farmers accomplished with 18th century methods remains possible today. Food security planning increasingly appears in mainstream discussion rather than fringe prepper circles. Governmental agencies now recommend household emergency food supplies covering multiple weeks rather than days. A vegetable that produces food throughout winter, requiring no preservation and no ongoing inputs, represents exactly the capability such planning envisions. Climate unpredictability argues for maintaining genetic options rather than narrowing them further. Weather events that once seemed improbable now occur regularly. The same biological adaptations that allowed Bleu de Soleil to survive wartime winters provide resilience against whatever temperature extremes future years bring. Heritage seed preservation has expanded significantly in recent decades. Organizations dedicated to maintaining heirloom varieties report growing membership and seed requests. Interest in food system resilience translates directly into demand for varieties like Bleu de Soleil. Bleu de Soleil represents something beyond an unusual vegetable. The variety embodies an approach to food production that prioritizes resilience over efficiency, local capability over global supply chains, and long-term security over quarterly profitability. Industrial agriculture made deliberate choices about which traits to favor. Speed, uniformity, and shipping tolerance won out. Cold hardiness, flavor complexity, and self-sufficiency capability were sacrificed. Those weren't inevitable trade-offs. They were decisions made for economic reasons that may no longer apply. The leek that fed occupied France still exists. Seeds remain available from heritage preservation organizations. Growing methods require no specialized knowledge or equipment. Anyone with outdoor space and basic gardening skills can plant Bleu de Soleil this spring and harvest fresh vegetables next winter regardless of how cold temperatures drop. 70 years ago, this capability kept families alive when industrial systems failed completely. The conditions that made winter-hardy food production essential haven't disappeared permanently. They've simply been papered over by supply chain abundance that functions well until it doesn't. Bleu de Soleil offers living insurance against future uncertainty. The question isn't whether such insurance has value. The question is whether we remember how to grow it before we need it again.